Hello and welcome back to Lunchtime BABLing. So today I want to make a couple of announcements. One, I think a lot of you might have seen is that the NIST has launched the AI Safety Institute Consortium. So the AI Safety Institute is an institute that was sort of ordered by the executive order that Biden had announced about safe and trustworthy AI. And the whole point of the institute is to really start developing standards around the measurement science of AI. And by AI, I think a big part of what they mean is generative AI. But I know I'm excited about AI in general, and in particular, there's a lot of really risky AI out there that we need to also be focusing on measuring the capabilities of beyond just large language models. But in any case, it has been announced, and they also announced the consortium, which is a sort of broader, so a U.S. AI Safety Institute Consortium, which is a broader group of stakeholders that includes private companies, nonprofits, auditing firms, and the announcement is BABL is part of this, and so we're very excited about that. And so that kind of work is going to be starting very soon. There are going to be working groups. I think there's 5 working groups right now, and we're going to be contributing to a few of those, in particular around testing these systems for risky behavior or just performance in general, and then more about the governance around these systems as well. There was a big press release and about this, and I can link that in the comments below. So a lot of you who watch this probably already know that, but we're excited here at BABL to get working on this, and I think NIST is a great organization that is really good at bringing together external stakeholders from industry and civil society and the government and really getting things done. So I think looking at their AI risk management framework, which has been out for a while now, it's really getting a lot of traction. It needs a lot of work, I think, in order to implement it, but that's fun work for us, and that's what we've been working on over the past year anyway. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I'm also getting very excited about ISO 42001. So ISO has now released their sort of risk management framework or governance framework for AI systems. And I think it's, while not totally complete, it is a really good start towards actually managing these systems better. I was a little bit skeptical, I'll be honest. I'd heard about it, and I had seen some sort of early versions. And I think what they've landed on is actually pretty flexible, and it's still a heavy lift. I'll be honest. It's not going to be easy for companies to sort of get aligned with this, but if they do, they're going to go a long way towards preparing for the EU AI Act, which is ultimately going to be the heaviest lift, I think, assuming it passes in sort of its current form. And I think ISO 42001 will be, in and of itself, a pretty important trust standard. It's something that can be audited against, which, as an auditing firm, we are obviously interested in that. But it does provide pretty clear guidance, and well, maybe I'll share it actually. So I'm just going to share the table of contents because I can't. It's licensed, and I can't share all of this. But the table of contents you can see that online. But I think anybody who's done risk management systems before will recognize all of these components, and I think the things that are different here are that there's obviously a big focus on AI and some of the unique risks that AI poses. So things like sort of encoding bias and transparency issues. But the process for setting this up is pretty much the same. You have to figure out the context of your organization. What are your needs? How are you using AI? So what's the scope of it going to be? And coming up with that management system. Of course, you have to have commitment from the top. There has to be leadership, and you have to start with an AI policy. And this is something we've been telling our clients for a long time. you need to know what the North Star is. You need to have a policy around what role does AI play in your business and what are the things you need to optimize for. So in this policy, there's going to be a lot of sort of objectives that you need to meet. Roles, responsibilities, and authorities. This is just plain old governance 101. And risk, not surprisingly, risk assessments feature prominently. Now, this is something that is probably a no-brainer, but we have been harping on this as a company for a long time. And I think one thing that is, it's not in here explicitly as explicit as I would like, but I think there needs to be a focus on these risk assessments really informing technical testing and monitoring, and that connection is not 100% there in this document, but I think it is there in the EU AI Act, although even there it's not as explicit as I would like it. But I think to set this up correctly, to really be effective at risk management, there has to be a very close connection between this risk assessment process, including looking at external stakeholders in a critical way, and the technical metrics that you're measuring and monitoring over time, the way you're tracking. And so, but in any case, that's something that's not a hard thing. Once you know it and once you know how to do it, then that's not hard to implement. You need training to do that. And so one bit here is you need to have competencies. And so competence, that's one of the important things here. And one of the things that I'm excited about there is that we've been doing that for the past couple of years. And what I mean by that is building competencies. We have been spending a lot of time figuring out how to train our auditors to identify risk, to manage risk, to measure indicators of risk as they relate to AI systems, to stress test AI systems, to govern them, and then ultimately to audit other people doing the same. And so we've developed courses in this area, and the thing that excites me as a business owner is that not just in ISO 42001, but also the EU AI Act, also in the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, it obviously calls for having competent people doing these tasks in the risk management system. And the competencies go beyond sort of standard risk and compliance skills. You have to understand the AI systems. You have to have understand how to do risk and track risk that is unique to AI systems. And so I think it's going to pay off for us that we've developed these and road tested the training that leads to these competencies, because there's going to be a need for that. And so I'm excited that BABL can potentially fill that void. There's going to be other people, of course. We're definitely not going to be the only players in town, but I feel like we have already road tested it, and our students, as have come through our program, we've hired and have become auditors, or they've been hired by other people. And so I think we can demonstrate that our training does actually is effective at building these competencies. So to that end, look for follow what we're doing in the near term, because we're going to make some announcements, I think, around the type of training that we're offering, and opening it up and pointing out basically that if you want to have demonstrated competencies in these, because you want to, these tasks and these skills, because you want to demonstrate for the purposes of 42001, because you want to be audited, or if you're an auditor who's going to perform 42001 certifications, we have training that could help you. And I think that's something that we're going to start communicating, we're going to start packaging, we're going to start really articulating that value proposition. We're of course not going to stop doing audits, because that's how we learned how to do this. And so audit is still BABL's main area of business, and I think we're just going to get better at it. We want to really crack the nut of how do we maximally promote human flourishing in the age of AI, and it's going to require effective auditing techniques effective frameworks. And I think that's where all of our research, when we're not doing actual audits, we're doing a lot of research on the effectiveness of those. And so I think it's going to pay off, and I'm super excited about the future of this field. All right, well, thank you so much for listening to my lunchtime babbling. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on LinkedIn or BABL on LinkedIn as well. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, thank you so much for listening. And I'll talk to you later on Lunchtime Babbling.